Salutations, Earthlings, and all others who may want to show up and play in the light. I was talking with someone the other day about the different levels of consciousness that are out there. Some rather dark, but you can only attract to you what you are vibrating at or what your consciousness believes. And so in my work, I always named that I only dance with that which is the light of the Christ, that golden frequency, which is, of course, the mystery, the magic of the star tetrahedron, power and love unified in action. If there is just love, it can be easily overwon. Yes, easily overwon and easily overrun, easily overshadowed. But when the dynamicness of masculine stands with it, through it, behind it, it gives it light and power and authority, the authority of love. And then when those two are united in action, then that is the Father, the Mother, the Son. You actually have then manifestation and creation. And of course, that is then the beauty of the star tetrahedron, which we are formulating as a field of consciousness within, around, and through us. And of course, as it turns, the real magic is we have formulated then the star tetrahedron, the sun, but then within the very middle, within the heart chakra, the doorway opens back into the void and source arises forth. The infinite possibilities of source are rising forth. And then touching the facets of the spinning star, it holographically then literally emanates it out as color, light, sound, and then the eoma, the very fine particles of creation, simply gather around and create reality. And so we are literally creating our reality. Most of us are not necessarily quite totally conscious of that, but it is the vibration that is emanating from you that is both the positive of love and joy of feelings. So, what are feelings? Feelings are joy, creativity, imagination, adventure, excitement, enthusiasm, which are really childlike qualities. When those are denied, it creates then around that expression of joy and magic a counterclockwise spiral, which we have talked about, which is live spelled backwards, no longer living in joy, but now living in this counterclockwise spiral of judgment and criticism, which then creates live spelled backwards, or EVIL, which is darkness. And darkness can then, of course, gather itself together and then create pockets of dark consciousness that we call evil entities, or we might call Satan, or we might get all these very strange and interesting names too. But once again, you can only draw those things to you if that is the vibrational frequency or the particular level of your consciousness is within your belief system. And so it's not denying those things. I have, in my work as an intuitive and as a healer, I've worked with many individuals who have had darkness wound literally around them in these very horrendous counterclockwise spirals of darkness. When you're there in that healing mode, if you judge it or criticize or dislike the darkness, you give it energy. And in the giving of it energy, it then has energy then to, we might say, attack back or be even more negative. But that which is darkness only originated because something wasn't loved. And so when we see darkness and we're grounded in the integrity of the Christ frequency, the golden liquid light of imminent sunlight, it literally is able then to touch the darkness without judgment. no criticism, no dislike, because we realize in our own personal work that we have been able to weave through our darkness, our emotions. And whenever we were able to weave in and through them and dodge judgment, which is some of the great work we do together, we always find something that wasn't loved. And as we then, the divine being that we are, show up and then in radiance literally become the Father, Mother Divine that re-embodies, that literally is the feeling of love and connection once again with that part of ourselves that we as the soul drop down into time and space that we call the child. It's just the feeling nature of the soul. But because we have showed up in this glorious Father, Mother, sacred energy and literally love that part of ourselves that we reposition within the three-dimensional worlds of form to learn about good, bad, light, dark, masculine, feminine, yin, yang, to have free will, which we talked about last time, in the conspiracy of literally the soul seeking to create all of these things that you feel have been imposed upon you, but they're simply opportunities to feel emotion and then move through them and find what wasn't loved. And so, in my particular work, as I said, I have seen things that were quite horrendous and dark. And if you met them in judgment or in criticism, you'd I remember this one time I walked into this room and literally the hair on the back of my neck stood up. That's how visceral this energy was. But once again, I simply sat quietly, grounded, connected with Mother Earth in this golden living radiance of the Divine Mother, opened my heart and allowed liquid golden light to flow through. And it lit to begin to weave so effortlessly in and through in non-judgment that I found in this horrendous darkness something that wasn't loved. It was a 2-year-old child sitting on the floor in a puddle of urine and feces, crying desperately for someone to come feed and acknowledge and bring love. And when that wasn't there, this individual then in protection, just in protection, began to weave darkness around it in order to keep people off of it, to no longer feel more negativity, more, if you will, belittlement, more emotion. And so that's all darkness is. It's simply that which was not loved. I was talking with a friend of mine here just before we went online today, and we were discussing some of these things around emotion. And he was asking me about a gentleman he met, and I took a look at the gentleman. I said, quite illuminated, very wise, has a high spiritual knowledge, good and righteous man, but doesn't really understand emotion. And so there's then clouds of the unconscious, which we would term darkness, but they're just clouds of shadow, veils that are within the lower areas of the body in the first, second, third chakra, which are hiding and protecting the magic of this little boy because he wasn't unconditionally loved as a child and programmed with manipulation and control. Then that sense of protecting that child, it then weaves these energy fields around that are like walls or barriers. And then we don't really feel good about letting people in. We play a part and we can play it righteously, as this gentleman was doing, but there's not a true free flowing, giving, taking, receiving, real validation of righteousness together. And so I said that this gentleman is wonderful to be with and to share spiritual information and to, seek to create more illumination betwixt, all of the group that you're with. But the held emotion is still a barrier to true enlightenment. And that's the way it is with, all of humanity. Um, I've done thousands upon thousands of aura readings for some of the most illuminated individuals, on the planet. And it doesn't matter where someone is, I can still see their aura. And there are very few individuals who really know that the key to enlightenment is to be able to find and feel the emotion, the darkness, and not judge it or criticize it because it's simply hiding something within them that wasn't loved unconditionally, which is simply our karma from the past when we have erred and done something that is negative and egregious and taken away someone's power or done something to them. We then need to experience that. Again, that's the soul wanting to experience all the possibilities of good, bad, light, dark on this planet. And so we then choose mother, father, culture, society, ethnicity that then demonstrates for us maybe powerlessness, which was this individual's particular energy, not really feeling powerfully accepted for the feminine magic, the creative joy that was within. And so then using his mind to find illumination, which is really part of one of the steps upon spiritual illumination. We use the mind to look and to search and to read and to have understanding. But once we have those things and the mind is fulfilled, if we keep looking, then we're literally then beginning to exteriorize our power. We're looking to something outside of ourselves now for wisdom or truth or illumination when it's already within. The soul, the divine being you are, literally took a piece of this great jewel the soul is, a holographic picture, and dropped it down in the time space. It's here. You're not looking for it, you already are it. It's the unveiling and the uncovering by going through the emotion, not as the mind. This is again what therapy does. And again, nothing wrong with therapy. It's a doorway that can lead you to more information about who you are. But once again, it's about training the mind to be an instrument of focused light, focused upon love, which is then the golden frequency, the soul, the Christ. And as you then hold yourself in that frequency, you feel it moving in and through, and you find and feel the emotion without judgment, but enjoyment. It's like, this is interesting. There's some great information hidden within this feeling of darkness or this dis-ease or this thing that's going on in my life that's constantly overshadowing me with negativity. There's great information there about how to find and feel, well, what's the emotion? How was it that another incarnation I didn't love myself and was looking for validation by taking other people's power or harming others or denying? And so as we then simply settle into the emotion with excitement, enthusiasm, we don't let the mind begin to examine who did what, when, where, how, and why, then you're lost. It's holding the feeling nature alive, love. I'm feeling the emotion, I'm tasting it, and as I begin to allow myself to settle in and through, I find a picture, maybe an image, or I might even ask the child, who's there? What's going on? What's the emotion? And when you recognize the emotion, that's when you can go through it, stand beside the child as this divine and sacred being that dropped a part of yourself into time space. And in that moment of love, there, the counterclockwise spiral like smoke, it just disappears. The spell is broken. And the spell, of course, is nothing more than programming. It's programming from mother, father, culture, society, creating counterclockwise spirals that we are taught to dislike and judge. And when we see it in others, we want to really be pissed off or angry or sad or lonely about it. But when you master it within you, you see and observe all those things in the world, but you realize someone wasn't loved. And we see the horrendous things, of course, going on the planet today. And it's a dynamic call for we who are on the pathway of love to so master our own emotions that we're able to observe all of it. But whenever we see anything that's horrendous, our immediate response is someone wasn't loved. And yes, it's their karma. They're simply recreating an incident, a moment in time, space to learn, but with compassion. Our golden liquid light can weave through their darkness, their separation, and it can begin to reignite what exists in all creation every moment, the ocean of God's oneness. And as that is ignited into life, it gives them the opportunity to feel once again, I am divine. So that really is the beauty of emotions and learning to dive into them and find and feel simply by going inside what within me doesn't feel loved. That I might look for validation or prosperity or relationship outside of myself. When there's a relationship and prosperity and joy and magic here, you attract it to you. It's a byproduct of your radiance. That's how the whole world is creating itself now, by simply people emanating energy and then magnetically receiving it back. The conspiracy of emotions. So one of the things that's most efficient in helping us find that is our breath work. Being able to go inside and see that we are literally breathing source from inside out. So I'm going to take you through about 5 minutes of deep breath work. And when we're, breathing, it's the feeling of source arising forth. I'm breathing from out of the void, source, God I am. And then with gentle exhale, it becomes sparkling, effervescent, golden light. So let's close the eyes and feel the body relaxing. Being aware of our breath. Slow, deep, purposeful inhalation from the open doorway within the heart. Gentle exhale, sunlit radiance sparkling, flowing through every cell and tissue of the body. Sunlight into the world. I am the light. Nothing more true was ever said. I am the light. You are made from stardust, brilliant stars spewing stardust throughout the cosmos, that your soul appropriated into physical form to become walking stardust. And then breathing from the open doorway within the heart, the purity of spirit arising, flowing like a living stream. Gentle exhale becoming sparkling, radiant, living light. I am. I am the sunlight of the divine. I breathe from the open doorway, source. I am the doorway. As Jesus once said, I am the doorway. Not the man, but the I am that sits at the open doorway of the void, breathing light and life source into manifestation. I am the living light. The focusing of mind is attention. Attentive as I sit at the doorway, being the I am that breathes with the cosmos. The entire universe is breathing. When I am conscious of that, I breathe with God I am. And my breath is golden sunlight and peace. I am a star in the making. Power and love unified is my glorious Christ form. And through the facets of that living light, I breathe source into reality. Creator being, I am. Effortlessly breathing. Cells, tissues, body igniting. All emotion being illuminated to be dispelled. Emotion, the illusion of separation. Hiding the feelings of joy and magic and creative. I am the light. And a couple of more deep, deep breaths, knowing that I sit at the doorway. Void on one side, manifest reality on the other side. I am the doorway. And as it feels comfortable, you can allow yourself to slowly come back. It's such a simple tool, breath, and being conscious of breathing, particularly throughout the day when something is in our space or we're feeling a little bit off, There's simply some emotion that's moving. Something is caught as a cloud of separation, of illusion within. And when we go back to knowing I am the doorway, I am that which created the emotion in order to gather information about loving all that is, then breath is there to easily dispel the illusion in that moment. And then when we come home and find some time, we can then become the liquid golden light, and we can dive into the emotion, and we can actually begin to dance with it and settle in and through in non-judgment, and continue to find and feel those subtleties of what is still feeling separate. And the beauty of all that is when we have the mind refined and focused, it's power. And power is then the focusing of attention, the divine masculine. And when we have moved through the emotion and love ourselves, we're no longer looking for something outside of self to fulfill us. We're not looking for power or love or recognition nor validation, because we feel literally that we are breathing within the ocean of source oneness. All that is already within, and we can simply begin to call it forth as vibration and feeling within, and through the Christ frequency, manifest it within reality. That is power and love unified. So I'll take you through the formulation of the star tetrahedron, and then I will join with you and we will create light magic throughout our divine and sacred planet. Sitting comfortably and quietly, we return our attention once again to the breath. I am breathing source into this dimension. It becomes sparkling, effervescent light within, through, and all around. I am the light. As we bring our attention to the heart chakra at the sternum, we know this is the doorway to the divine. And I feel myself sitting at this sacred doorway. On one side, the void, eternal, unrelenting possibilities, from out of which I first emerged to become manifest. And now I sit there knowing that as I breathe from out of the void light into this dimension. I am the doorway. And I observe, I see and feel beneath me magnificent triangulation of energy that is gently turning right to left, clearly into Mother Earth. This triangle rests, sacred with Mother. It turns with my breath. It becomes more sparkling, alive, and real. Divine Mother, love. Up above me, I observe the triangulation that pierces into the heavens, gently moving from left to right. Divine power, attention, and light. I am power and love unified. The movement of sacred triangulations, opening the doorway within the heart. I am the doorway, breathing light and life into this dimension. I will join with you and we will light activate within and all around. I am the doorway. And very easily now, begin to feel yourself slowly coming back. So here we are, Earth. It was a quick journey. All right, my friends, thank you very much. Just be aware of, as you go forth for the next couple of weeks, that energy in motion, emotion, if it's clockwise, it's feelings of joy and creativity and excitement, enthusiasm, childlike splendor. And that's really the planet that we're going to be creating, a planet of childlike splendor, beauty, and grace. And there's no longer veils of separation, but it's a process. All right, love you.